They copied a script from Hitler. And I said it, by the way. And when I said it, obviously at the time I was dismissed. But I said it because I had studied the Nazi regime and how the Nazi regime rose to power and what the Nazi regime did when they were in power. Obviously, the EFF was never in power. But let me tell you, study the EFF, the way they organize themselves. You will see serious similarities with the Nazi regime, including ideologically, by the way. The only difference is that the EFF wore red and the Nazis wore brown.
Well, the analyst that everybody loves to hate, Prince Mashele, has struck again. So in this case, now he's talking about the EFF. That the EFF, he likens the EFF to the Nazi regime. I don't know. I think that's a little bit of excessive there. I don't know what you guys think about that. That they copied Hitler. So I want us to watch a bit of the whole video, and I'll make a commentary after that. Let's check it out.
They were a national socialist party. National in the sense that they were very clear that they were a party of black people representing black interests. They were very clear. A Marxist-Leninist party will never say that. Because Marx and Lenin were anti-nationalist, clearly anti-nationalist. You will never find the writings of Marx that praise nationalism. So I saw that. So even their political tactics, the stormtroopers causing chaos in parliament, all of that, the only difference is that the EFF wore red and the Nazis wore brown. But the whole theatrics and the hero worship of the leader, it was there. So I said, oh, whoa. These fellows, I'm dismissing them. They're not what they're telling us to be what they are. And secondly, they are not going to lead South Africa. And of course, I was dismissed. The rest is history. Now, look at where they are. Julius fancies himself a political strategist. I've heard him and say, I'm a good strategist and all of that. It's nonsense. The chap is ignorant of political strategy. Let me tell you, when you form a political party and you want this political party to have longevity and eventually to capture power, and you want this political party to cohere, never allow the original core that formed it to disintegrate. Julius doesn't know this rule. He has allowed the original core that formed the EFF to disintegrate. Once that happens, you must know the party is finished. This element, by the way, you go to other political parties, even in the ANC, obviously, those who formed the ANC in 1912 are no more. But those who have been guardians of the party, at some point, the older generation fell apart, right? From 2007, that all fell apart and then all things scattered in different directions. You can go look at all these organizations and apply this principle. You will see. COP, same story. Those who formed it originally disintegrated. And what happened to the party? History. The EFF is history because this basic principle, Julius is not aware of it. Yeah. Fact that Floyd is gone, Moiseni is exiting, your father, Dali, is gone. Let me tell you, Julius Malema will remain holding feathers. The bird has long flown away. He doesn't understand that.
So there you have it, folks. The South Africa's favorite political analyst has struck again, Prince Mashele. And those who've borne the brunt of his analysis are the economic freedom fighters, the EFF. I want to just address a few things from what he was mentioning there. The first thing that I want to address is that comparing the EFF to the Nazi regime, that the way they've set up, they were inspired by how Hitler was. And I think at face value, if you take that, that will be a little bit too excessive, because once you start invoking somebody like Hitler and the Nazi regime, you're automatically gonna go on a downward spiral, meaning that you start talking about the Holocaust and all of that, and the killing of the 6 million Jews, one of the greatest tragedies in the history of mankind, or in the world, in recent times at least. So, and a lot of people might be up in arms because of that. Now, how do you compare? Are you saying that the EFF, they might end up being like Hitler, meaning that one day if they get into power, they might go on and kill other people, other races, So I think there we need to be a little bit careful in how. So my understanding of his analysis in that respect is that he's saying that there's some of the things that the EFF has taken, or that are similar rather, to how Hitler fashioned the Nazi party back in the day and stuff like that. Like, for example, the policy of nationalism, that the EFF say, hey, we are about black people, and if you remember, if you know a little bit of history, Hitler was about that as well, isn't it? About his own race, the white people, a pure race. He was obsessed with those type of things, that type of racism. And other people can label the EFF as a racist organization because it's looking out for black people and all of that. So I can see why he would try to draw parallel in that respect. And the other aspect of it is that the hero worship of a leader. There's no question that somebody like Hitler was revered, borderline worship, if he wasn't already worshipped by those who were his followers. And if you look at the CIC, Julius Malema is very revered within the economic freedom fighter circles. And like he's in fact you could even say that he is feared as a leader. So I can see why he's trying to make that connection, that parallel, in terms of being inspired by the Nazis and all these things. But I think it could also be a bit of an exaggeration there. The EFF and the Nazis, considering where the Nazis, where they started, where they ended up, and where the EFF is, or where the EFF might end up. Obviously, it's all speculation here, and it's just his opinion and all that. I don't entirely agree with that, but but it is thought-provoking. I think he probably get a lot of backlash in that respect because of that, comparing the EFF to the Nazis. Considering how despicable the Nazis were in our history, in the history of the world. The other aspect I want to address with regard to what Prince is saying is that I think there is some truth in the element where he's talking about, the core of the organization when it started. The core of the organization when it started, the core group that was there. And now that some of them, they're already gone. And that can also be a problem if you think about it. In that most of these political parties that have started out like the EFF with so much euphoria and things like that, he used the example of COPE as well, like a similar thing has happened to COPE. So once the core group dissipates, the party doesn't get sustained. So this party is made in the image of one man, and he reckons that this party doesn't have a future in South Africa. My struggle with that is that yes, the struggle in terms of the EFF having a future in South Africa, I'm worried about its growth trajectory, especially now that they've lost quite a bit of votes, and the party beyond this influential, perhaps even iconic leader of the party, that it will probably become even near impossible for anyone to fill in his shoes. I think on one of the videos that we did previously, talking about the succession plan of the top four parties, I've always wondered, like, who else will step up and step into the position of this being a CIC of the economic freedom fighters beyond Julius Malema. I think the same comparison was drawn with the MK party, that who will be able to step in if Jacob Zuma should he not make it. So I think the EFF is going to struggle with that to go beyond Julius Malema. And how long can Julius Malema sustain this thing on his own? In fact, it will seem, that's my humble opinion, it will seem that his brand is way too stronger than that of the party. if you put Julius Malema there and you put the EFF over there, Julius Malema's brand will be way stronger and powerful than the brand Economic Freedom Fighters. Even though it is strong, it is visible, perhaps valuable as it were. But I want to hear your thoughts, man. Share your thoughts in your comments about what Prince is saying here, an analyst that everybody loves to hate because he is very critical of a whole lot of political parties. But I like the fact also as well that he doesn't criticize only the Economic Freedom Fighters. He goes in on the ANC, the DA, and the MKP. So I think then in that sense, I'm really appreciative of for some of the things that he says. So I want to hear your comments. What do you think about the EFF being compared to Adolf Hitler and the Nazi regime? And let me know what you think, if you agree, disagree, and what are some of your thoughts. And perhaps maybe Prince is out of line in this case. And thanks again for your love and support. Thanks again for subscribing, for those who have subscribed. And if you haven't subscribed, please be so kind and do that. And let's grow this community. And then we'll keep on bringing you guys more videos. And I hope to see you guys on the next video again. Thank you again for tuning in. Bye-bye.